What's up, you nerds? Welcome back to Yellow Spandex. This week we talk about all kinds of crazy stuff like the new Charlie's Angels movie. Also, why Alan Richardson hated filming Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We also get into the Star Wars stuff. Jon Favre. What else we do? We talked about a little bit of Tesla. We talked about a lot of Star Wars thing, actually. And then we ended with Josh Trank reviewing his own film, which is hilarious.
Fan-for-stick.
Fan-for-stick. So stick around on this episode of Yellow Spandex.
This is electrolytes. What are electrolytes? It's what plant crave.
It's what plants crave.
What are they?
Electrolytes. But what are electrolytes? What plants crave. This conversation's over.
What's water on the
you
crops?
You mean toilet?
From the toilet?
From the toilet? It's the dumbest movie ever.
Oh, man.
I love it.
I need to re-see it. It's been so long since. I think it's almost like right after it came out, I saw it. Gosh, that had to have been like 15 years ago.
Rod showed it to me because before then I didn't even know it was in a movie.
Yeah, because it was shelved for a while.
Something happened with I don't know
Mike Judge.
Was either with Mike Judge and or the company at the time.
Oh yeah,
but they didn't have faith in the movie. Whoever was changing hands, maybe Mike Judge pissed one of them off.
Oh, gotcha.
Something happened to where they kind of like did not promote the movie at all.
Yeah,
and it was right off of Office Space too, which is kind of crazy.
But then Office Space didn't really do well at the beginning either.
Yeah,
it was kind of
I think it was
failure,
something
right?
either Office Space becoming big or like Beavis and Butthead hitting or something. Like one of the Mike Judge things hit, and then the movie came out on DVD when that was a thing.
Yeah,
and that's when we were in college, and I think when it came out on DVD, and all of us were just like, it's never going to get this bad. Fast forward to 2019. Like, getting awfully close.
They're like,
actually,
it's like The Simpsons telling the truth, telling the future.
Minor side trail. Since we're talking about we mentioned Office Space last week because it was one of those movies that didn't do well in the box office and then became a cult classic.
Right? Yeah,
so we saw Charlie's Angels.
Yeah.
Okay, it's probably not going to be one of those movies. But it wasn't bad. It was just, I think it was what we said last week. It wasn't as big of stars, and it just came out on a bad week. If it had come out on any other week that had no other major action or that kind of film come out, it'd have been fine because it was Elizabeth Banks' first action film. You could kind of tell, but she did a good job for it. Nothing was bad. Nothing was exceptional either.
Yeah.
But ironically, even though it wasn't as big of names, the chemistry of the cast was the best part. I believed all these girls and Elizabeth Banks were all friends, you know. Are you going to see it?
Probably not.
Okay, so...
Just because there's so many other things I do want to see.
If you're listening to this and for some reason you don't want spoilers for Charlie's Angels by Elizabeth Banks, maybe fast forward a few minutes or something. But so the one big thing that I could see Charlie's Angels fans maybe just being no, I draw the line here.
Yeah.
Is the original Bosley is played by Patrick Stewart. So that's cool. But the big twist at the end is that he betrays the entire organization.
Oh.
That for 40 years, Bosley's been trying to undercut this entire organization. So I can kind of see that being I don't like that because he's...
Yeah, I mean, if you were super into the canon of
so that's
Charlie's
another
Angels,
thing.
You could probably be mad about it.
Is this Charlie's Angels isn't a reboot? It's making all the Charlie's Angels properties up until now part of a big cinematic universe.
What?
That was kind of weird, but I kind of get it. It was... What I did like, and I watched
Girl Power.
Yeah, I watched Andre Meadows of the Black Nerd Comedy, and he brought the same point. I kind of big spoiler. End of the movie, you find out that basically every badass woman in history is an angel. The organization is much bigger than we thought it was.
Okay,
and so
so it's not the same name as the original three girls, right?
No. So the thing, but they do refer to Lucy Liu, Cameron Diaz, and Drew Barrymore's characters. When they show, the movie starts with Patrick Stewart's Bosley. Oh, that's another thing. Bosley is a rank in the organization, named after the original Bosley. There's several Bosleys. That's why Elizabeth Banks is also Bosley, because she's the follow-up to Patrick Stewart's.
Okay.
But they also have...
But he's retiring or something.
So at the beginning of the movie is him retiring.
Oh, okay.
And they show a slideshow, of everything, and it's him with Farrah Fawcett and Jamie. No, it's not Jamie. Jackie. Oh, I can't remember her last name. One of the original Angels. And
Bob.
Drew Barrymore and all of them.
I'm no help.
And but it's also photoshopped. I could kind of see criticism in how cheesy that was, just the visuals of it.
It was obvious, hey, look.
Oh yeah,
trying to be jokey.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean,
I did. I thought of that.
Hopefully.
Let's hope.
Put it that way. But
it's like Patrick Stewart with like a little fro and a mustache.
Oh, that was funny. Well, I mean, just like you could tell that it was like shopped in. It doesn't feel like there was a good attempt to make it like believably
pretty silly
in the thing. But
and what it sounds like to me is it's a little bit like the Scooby-Doo movie, to where like, do you remember they had Scrappy?
Yeah.
And then he turns out to be the bad guy.
Oh,
at the
gotcha.
end.
Yeah.
This one had a few more twists.
Yeah.
So that was. Go ahead.
Well, no, I just realized this chair is connected to your microphone.
That's fine. As long as I don't bump it, it's okay.
Yeah.
So that was the thing that I will give the movie credit for. Like, as the movie's going along, it's like, oh, I know this twist. Because like you could just, most adults could just kind of see it coming
ahead of time.
The twist to start off with was that Elizabeth Banks's Bosley was the traitor. Like everything was kind of like leading up to it. But in like, she would just be disappearing like when she was needed and stuff like that. So you're like, oh, okay, they're going to make Elizabeth Banks.
But she was really just behind the scenes finding out the truth.
So she was organizing everybody else against this original Bosley because she had seen it coming.
Okay.
Elizabeth Banks's Bosley is the first angel to be promoted to Bosley.
Oh.
So
Angel to Bosley.
And then
A to B.
One little stinger at the end that I could see
because it's Charlie.
one little controversy I could kind of see like people who hate on, but makes sense to me, and I have a defense for it. Is at the very end when they show like you still never get to actually see Charlie.
Yeah.
You see the speaker say like good job, angels, blah blah blah, and then it kind of goes to the other side of the speaker to where Charlie is, and you see Charlie's arm, and it's a woman speaking into a computer that's transmuting the voice into a male voice. And I know that it seems like it's like pandering, but to me it makes sense because in 2019 probably would be not a good look is like an organization of thousands of attractive women being run by like a single man. It would just have like this Playboy Mansion bunny ranch kind of vibe to it,
I don't feel like it would matter at that point because if it's, I don't know, if you're looking at it that way, what does it matter if it's a man or a woman running that many women?
Well, so it
only
does,
women, by the way.
well, besides Bosley's.
Okay, fine. Just Bosley's, and they could only be. But, oh no, they got what's her face,
Elizabeth Banks.
Right,
so she kind of started. But I kind of get it because it was like like I don't know. It was a very small thing that they just kind of is a throwaway. Like if you would have blinked or gone to the bathroom, you totally would have missed the story point. It didn't really matter in that scheme of things. But it was part of that big reveal at the end because the last big fight scene, the angels are cornered. There's no way they're gonna get out, and they're at this big like ball, and the lights go out. And then when they come back on, every man in the room, because of the type of party it is, all the men in the room are like thugs, for the bad guy.
Okay.
It was just set up that way. Like, and so they're cornering the angels. So when the lights come back on, all the men just like fall over dead or paralyzed or whatever.
Yeah.
And stuff. And you're just kind of like, what happened there? And those moments like that are like, oh, okay, I didn't see that exactly coming, so that was nice. And then you realize like every woman in the room is an angel that's been recruited by Elizabeth Banks to show up at this party.
Yes.
And then
they missed an opportunity though.
What's that?
To bring all the angels back.
Yeah, see, I don't know if they could have gotten those. Man, that's another thing. Like,
from
those
one
are big
scene
names.
though, like
well, they did follow it up with something else. So the this was funny. During that scene, they pan around the room and you start seeing the women in the room and previous scenes. It was kind of like Sixth Sense almost.
Or the
like
Spider-Man when they had Jake Gyllenhaal. Actually,
the backgrounds
like sparkled or sprinkled throughout the beginning of the movie,
and those other employees.
Sparkled is better.
Sparkled too.
So, they kind of do that, but then the thing that really caught my eyes, they start panning around the room, and I was like, Vince, is that Devin? It's one of our acquaintances. We actually know her boyfriend more, but Devin from Ladylike BuzzFeed.
She got a really prominent role.
I was like, that looks like Devin. And I went home and looked on her Instagram. She's like, so glad to finally say that I got to go to Acapulco or whatever, Istanbul to be in Charlie. I was like,
she killed that role. She killed that role too.
So she was one of the quote unquote like angels.
Extra angels.
Yeah.
She was like an undercover.
Yeah. I thought
understudy.
I thought that was a really cool reveal on whoever wrote like Elizabeth Banks, I guess, story.
Yeah.
Is that like there's so many more angels than we thought. And we only get to see stories of 3 of them at a time.
Yeah.
But
I mean that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it was an okay movie. Just came out.
It was fine
on a weekend with a giant movie coming out that everybody seemed to want to go see.
If you either saw it like at just like if you have a normal like not crazy expensive theater or you have like a discount day or something, like I think that'd be like a perfect, or you go with a group of friends or whatever. Like
Did you say a discount day?
Yeah, like like sometimes like Tuesdays, like $10 tickets or something like that. I think that's a perfect movie to see the that kind of thing at, or like we have AMC A-list, so perfect for that. But so the real thing that was great, and we kind of mentioned this a little bit on our live stream. If you do go see it, the money shots are in the credits, which I know annoys some people, but chronologically it probably couldn't happen to any other place. So Naomi Scott's like the new recruit. They show that in the trailers. So by the end, she's like earned her wings. She's gonna become an angel. So they're like, okay, you're gonna go to training, and then through the credits, their training sequence. More cameos than you can even like imagine. Like the first one is like one of the original angels, and then the second one she's like doing like driving training, and she gets out of the car, and then Danica Patrick gets out of the passenger side.
Oh, funny.
And then like she's learning how to do like kung fu or something as Ronda Rousey, who hands down best acting she's ever done, which isn't saying too much. She only has like 3 lines.
She wasn't too bad in that. What was that movie with all the action people?
Oh, she Expendables?
Yeah, she's in the first one.
I haven't seen.
She wasn't too bad in that.
But she did good at that because she was just supposed to be intense and training somebody, which I feel like is just not a far cry from what she normally does.
Yeah, makes sense.
And then
I couldn't help but like feel nervous during that scene though, because of like
about how cringy she could be. Yeah, it was like you're just waiting for it, and they cut away. I'm like, okay, good memory. And then there was like a training scene where they were all jumping. I think they showed part of it in the trailer, them jumping out of the airplane.
Okay.
And so it was Naomi Scott, but then all the other girls were like the Olympic gymnastics. I don't know, one of the Olympic teams with the young women in it.
So we didn't get a Cameron Diaz. We didn't get a Drew Barrymore or Lucy Liu.
They did show up in a photo though.
But that was the Photoshop photos. But they showed up in a photo. It was the Olympic team, and then Haley Steinfeld were all also trainee angels. And then in passing, like girls are like, we can't jump out, and Elizabeth Banks is like girls. Our angels, like Ruth Bader Ginsburg didn't complain like this when she had to make this jump. They're like, wait, RBG was a angel, and they're like, forget I said that. I was like, I think that's kind of cool. Like just kind of incorporate this big like universe of things. And then
you're saying they're not pushing a little bit in the movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was a cool thing. Like
I'm sure there's at least one person who was just like, geez.
But it makes sense. It's like all these women like
right now.
I thought it was cool because all these women that in history that like have pushed boundaries, like they just kind of reveal like angels, They're
all angels.
But then there's a second after credits I think a lot of other people miss where Naomi Scott actually gets her wings and stuff. So I thought it was all right. Surprisingly, this is the movie that made me actually like Kristen Stewart as an actress. I did not expect that because I don't.
What else has she been in besides Twilight?
That's the only thing I know her from.
Yeah.
And I think maybe there was another like indie movie I saw her and I was like, she's the same thing. But this one, she was like, okay, you're fun.
Yeah. She reminds me a lot of a girl from Harry Potter. What's her name? She's Belle, Hermione. I can't remember her name. She's Belle in Beauty and the Beast. But I get those two mixed. Yeah, Emma Watson.
Yeah.
There we go. I get those two mixed up a little bit every once in a while. I mean, I feel like though, if you would have gotten 3 way more well-known women behind it, you probably could have bumped that up quite a bit and also probably would have pulled in a lot more.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that it's not really. I mean, Charlie's Angels, those last 2 with Cameron Diaz, they're comedies.
Well, my question is, who the hell would you have chose if you're saying like it would have been better with powerhouse women? I think maybe her. I think Caitlin or Kristen Stewart still kind of be in that. Emma Stone, that would feel weird and probably wouldn't work. I'm not sure if that would work. Like Emma Roberts, maybe, or Amanda Seyfried, maybe Mila Kunis.
It also had like a big
Jennifer Lawrence. Kunis could have been big. Margot Robbie still.
Margot Robbie, yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
But then there's like a bunch of women that are a little bit older, like Emily Blunt or like Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah, Emily Blunt. She's getting up there, but yeah, she still does great action movies.
Julia Roberts, these are like powerhouse women that Jennifer Garner, like in their heyday, probably. I mean, I'm not to say right now isn't their heyday either, but when they were young, like in their 20s, obviously it would have been better. Kate Winslet is also like a powerhouse actress, that could have killed an angel role back in her.
I feel like
early 30s, 20s.
Just because of like Hollywood, like politics and numbers and stuff, Scarlett Johansson would definitely be one of them.
Scarlett Johansson.
Just because like she brings numbers,
Yeah. Also, Kristen Stewart. I had no idea she was in so many freaking movies.
Yeah. What's she in that we should know?
Panic Room.
That's old, man. She must be the kid.
Underwater is that new movie that hasn't come out yet. Into the Wild was 2007.
Oh yeah, she wasn't Into the Wild.
And Adventureland 2009.
But yeah, she was badass in this. Like I get, when Elizabeth Banks tweeted like they're proud of what they made. I get it. There was nothing like bad about it. Like
I'm not a fan of the soundtrack, but that's just me. I feel like the soundtrack actually kind of made the movie a little bit weird for me. That's my personal
but
opinion.
none of these other movies are huge though.
No, I mean they're not ridiculous.
Into the Wild was pretty big. Because I don't even remember. Because I think since Twilight hadn't come out yet, I wasn't looking for her.
Yeah.
I recognized her.
Yeah. That Panic Room movie sucked, though. I'll tell you that.
I don't even know if I saw it.
Oh, it was awful. It was like, hey, you bought this new house. It has a panic room. All right, we're gonna leave you. Bye.
Yeah.
Some people are coming. Quick, get into the panic room. And like that was the whole movie. Just all right, we're stuck in the panic room. People are trying to get in to the panic room. What do we do?
Jumper. I remember that wasn't a big movie either, but remember Jumper?
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
That was fun with like Anakin Skywalker.
It was basically a Quantum Leap, right? Only it wasn't.
I wish it were.
It was like he'd teleport.
He just had the ability to teleport. Yeah.
Moving on, we have lots of stuff.
Yeah. What was the thing you want to start with? The Ninja Turtles?
Oh yeah. Well, we were talking earlier about like bad situations in movies or whatever. I want to play you this clip real quick. I'll put it in the comments. But Alan Richson, he I think was Raphael in the last two Ninja Turtle live action.
I saw the first one, but not the second one.
Yeah. And he was just talking. You could tell there was a lot more to the story. And he said he wanted to write a book. So
was that Michael Bay too?
Well, I think it was produced by Michael Bay.
The first one was definitely something Michael Bay.
At least produced.
Yeah.
By Michael Bay, and it's definitely written all over it. I think we were talking about, you said there was a joke that Ryan Reynolds was doing a...
Oh, yeah, I said that.
Vince said that he saw an article that there's a movie that was like codenamed something else. That's Ryan Reynolds and Michael Bay doing live action Thundercats.
And Dave...
For Netflix.
And I was like, oh... He can destroy 3 of my favorite cartoons from my childhood.
I'll give him this much credit. I really actually genuinely like the first Transformers movie.
I'm with you.
But it started declining after that, but I didn't hate it until maybe the third or fourth one.
The third one, I was like, they better make this good. And then it was awful. And I was like, all right.
I forget, it was the second or third one. I think it was the second one where I realized like every time there was like something that didn't make sense with the plot, they literally just like, you could do a count. Like there's a 1-to-1, something that makes sense. Megan Fox running in slow-mo through the desert. Like they would like equal the moments out.
She wasn't even in the third one.
Yeah, so that was the second one then. So it was like, why are they running across the desert? There's like a bunch of vehicles around them. Like, sure, okay.
Man. But there was always one of those like what do they call them? Not mulligans. What do they call the
MacGuffins.
MacGuffins.
The whole thing.
It's the MacGuffin.
I mean, literally every character, every robotic character in there is a MacGuffin. Like. This robot is like the size of like the Empire State Building that can transform into like inanimate objects and stuff.
And it doesn't like have any explanation. They're like, we just do it.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, the mechanics I
okay.
guess work. Like they made it so that Megatron wasn't like a gun. So at least there was that.
I don't know. If they tried to do that, I would at least be like, all right, you're sticking to the source material. But
I'm guessing they're also probably thinking like, 2000s toys, that's not going to work. Like,
that worked way back when.
That was the 80s when you like we were just talking off camera about like when you could like abuse your children on set and stuff.
Geez.
Like who was it? Sean Astin. He said
Sean Astin's mom was Patty Duke.
So she would like kind of like mentally abuse him on set.
Well, it was just one story that she told because she was bipolar, like very bipolar, and one of the first people that like advocates apparently for it. And he had said in this interview, I can't remember who was talking to him. Maybe it was Michael Rosenbaum that was talking to him. Anyway, he had said his first acting experience was his mom had got him a job when he was like really small, like maybe 5 or 6 or something. And he was supposed to cry or something on cue, kind of like, oh no, something bad happened, cry. Mm-hmm. And he wouldn't. And his mom like pulled him off stage and like yelled at him until he started to cry. And then she's like, all right, wait. Let's get you back in there real quick. And like get him back there and like give him a look when they were shooting. And he just starts bawling. And they're like, cut, that was great. That was amazing.
Yeah.
No
and
damage.
She's like,
at
guess
all.
what? That was acting. Oh, honey, you did a good job. Like,
that's right.
Oh, you should. I think that was a Michael Rosenbaum. He does. Gosh, I can't. He does. He's the guy from Smallville. He was Lex Luthor, but he does a podcast now. So it's.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So
all right, we're gonna stop and listen to this real quick. You will not notice us though, and we're back.
Wow.
So that was kind of disheartening to hear, but at least it's kind of out there. It kind of makes you realize or reinforces, like we know out here being in LA, like productions are like really complicated. So like, Vince mentioned yesterday, like we were at a movie and saw the trailer for Cats, and somebody sitting next to Vince was like, I hope that movie tanks. And he's like, yeah, but like, what about all the people that worked on it? Like, And the same thing with like some friends were like, we might boycott the Mulan live action because the lead actress is supporting the wrong side of the Hong Kong thing, and stuff. I was like, so what sucks about the Mulan thing is that the movie's already made, so it's not going to hurt her at all. It's just going to hurt like all the peripheral people, and stuff. But at the same time, like, there's never a clean shot, like if you like boycott a movie, it does terrible.
Well, it's like boycotting anything though. Like one moron at the top of it, might say something stupid and then or do something stupid, but there's a million people underneath.
Yeah, but it'll hit all the pawns first before getting to the king, which kind of sucks. So I guess the plus side is since the numbers did so bad, he's not obligated for the third one. So maybe that was the bright side of this specific thing.
I remember him being in Smallville because he was Aquaman in Smallville.
Okay, I didn't see that.
It's funny though, because
I remember that.
There was actually there's actually a pilot, and you can watch it on the DC universe for an Aquaman show, and he's not in that, which is weird to me. And the person that is in that was the guy that played the Green Arrow on the Smallville show, which is actually he's the guy. What's that show with Mandy Moore?
This Is Us.
Yeah,
I've never seen it. I just
he's the brother.
Cry all the time about it.
Yeah, I've seen it a couple times, and I was like, no, I don't need to be this emotional tonight.
So it looks like he's been in a bunch of stuff.
I see that he's in a new Titans series or something.
Yeah, he's Hawk.
Okay,
in the new
confusing
Titans.
roles.
Yes,
it looks like he was in one of the Hunger Games.
Yeah, I think I saw he was in one of the Hunger Games.
Blue Mountain State, I think, was his he was the main role in that. I don't think I saw that though.
I mean, he seemed really genuine in this. Like,
yeah.
He just kind of seemed like he got off. Somebody he was frustrated. Somebody asked him a question. He goes off, and at the end, he's like, "Oh crap! I probably shouldn't have said this." Kind of deal.
I get it though.
It seemed genuine at least, and it wasn't. At least, so the thing I get tired of hearing people when they complain about things is like things that don't amount to like. How do I put this? Like it's not helpful in a critical way, So that was kind of shining a light, assuming it's true, shining a light on some like bad business practices.
Yeah.
And stuff. And then he also didn't like go on so many tangents that it was like irrelevant, So of the things, I felt like it was more informative than venting. So that was kind of interesting.
Yeah. The biggest thing to me is literally saying what you're gonna do and then doing what you said.
You said. That's what his whole point was. Yeah.
So he was promised all these things, and even the female, she was like, "So you were basically giving it like an Andy Serkis thing."
Yeah, like they're telling you,
like you're gonna blow up.
You're gonna be like the next Andy Serkis.
Yeah, and this dude's young. This is like and he was talking like this is gonna be years of my main parts of my main years of my career and everything, and
because he was signed on for 3 movies.
I only have empathy to to think of how hard it was for him to make these decisions, especially being like with a kid, and I'm guessing he was married too. As a musician and a producer, like the last thing I want is for someone to promise me something that never comes to fruition. That's like a nightmare.
It's weird too, because like wasn't the original Turtles movie like back in the 80s, 90s? Wasn't that just stunt guys in suits?
It was. They were actors too.
No, were they known names?
They weren't known names.
Well, because we watched
the Surf Ninja dude. He was the known name.
We watched Toys That Made Us, and they were talking about pitching the movie because at the time, I guess they said at the time it was the most successful independent movie because it hadn't been sold to a studio yet, and then it blew up. And they actually, when they showed the movie to the not Hasbro, whatever toy company that had it at the time, they were like, "You guys screwed up." Like they said, this movie's so bad, and
it's
then
so dark.
Then it went to the theaters and then blew up, and they're like, "Let's make another one."
Looks like we got to make more.
But they said the idea was, since they had to like kind of skimp on the budget, they're like, "Let's get these rubber suits and put them on stunt guys. They're going to be behind masks anyway, so there's no point in casting Tom Hanks to be Raphael."
Ernie Reyes Jr.
Was he Kano in the second movie? Who's the guy that was Kano in the second movie?
Well, Ernie, he was like the I forget which turtle he was for what was it? Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze. I don't know if he was in 1. I think he was in 1 too, actually.
I thought there was a guy that was in one of the suits that was in the movie in a separate movie later. That was one of the Ninja Turtle movies as an actual actor, but I could be wrong.
Let's find out. Ernie Reyes Jr., the guy that played Donatello, he was the in-suit actor.
Yeah.
or
He's
the
in a
performer.
ton of stuff.
He was Kano, the pizza guy in Secret of the Ooze too.
Yeah. Okay.
Or the second movie. It's that little side.
And he was
note.
in a bunch of stuff,
'Cause
wasn't he?
I heard you
Wasn't he
say
in
that earlier,
Surf
and I was
Ninjas?
like, "What?" Yeah, he was the main in Surf Ninjas.
Yeah.
That's how I knew who he was.
But that is kind of discouraging here. At least, I mean, this is a terrible way to like try to find a silver lining, but it is interesting to hear that it like kind of follows suit of like something that wasn't perceived very well from audiences and stuff. Like it kind of reverberated through the production. Like it just kind of like started there and like kind of went through. I don't want to be too like hippy dippy about things, but like we were talking to our friend Atomic Mari and her husband Peter, and I'd mentioned something about just genuinely being thankful for several situations in our careers and our lives right now and stuff. And Mari's like very, very successful, and she was like, that's pretty much like one of the most common threads between a lot of like quote unquote successful people that have made and things that they wanted. She's noticed that she was like they're still grateful long after other people have taken things for granted, and those stars that kind of fall off, either if it wasn't for a bad circumstance or an unfortunate circumstance, it was because they were just taking things for granted, ungrateful, and then things just kind of fall off for them.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting, whatever perspective you believe in, like if it doesn't start from a good place and it has like it's not a great chance. It doesn't increase the chances for it to go to a good place, at the very least, if you don't believe in the woo part of it.
Nobody wants to be around someone that's just down and a jerk either. So
yeah.
I mean,
so it's it's kind of, this is funny. I won't mention his name here, but there's a friend that Josh and I both know from way back when.
it's not Vince.
But way back when, that is like, I can in my heart of hearts say is like a bad person, but like a good guy. And I know that's kind of confusing, but I think some people when they hear that enough times, they'll be like, I know what you mean. But I remember one time like sitting down with him, and it's like his life got like exponentially better, at least on the surface. And he was like, the secret of it was like, I realized that nobody cares about my problems, and nobody wants to be around anybody that's just like venting problems all the time. And I was like, I mean, I don't know how healthy that is as far as like psychology and stuff, but at least from like the standpoint of like, that person's in entertainment and stuff, like it does make him a likable person. Yeah. Even though I know that, the heart is like questionably.
You definitely don't want to like just, shove everything down deep down and not tell anybody about your problems. But you don't just need to be leaking them out to every single person you meet.
Yeah. So I see it because he's like, I think the thing he does have going for him is that he sees a set of things that he can't really change. And so it just doesn't bother with like letting that like overtake the rest of the things that are going on, and stuff. And
that seems like this guy too. He seems like he's kind of moving forward.
Producing, he took a lesson like not to treat people like that.
Yeah.
This sounds obvious, but I guess you don't know unless you were in those shoes.
Yeah. So long story short, I hope Michael Bay is not doing another doing Thundercats.
What was the budget for? I wonder what the budget was for those
probably got a couple
Teenage
million.
Mutant Ninja
That's
Turtles.
probably insane. If they were doing mocap, and
because it was like walking mocap, like he's just walking around constantly. That's not nothing but that.
Let's take a look.
I wonder how much was the one for the original. How about ask that?
The original,
the OG.
Yeah,
I'm imagining it was fairly low because it was an indie movie. But let's see this one. Okay,
1990.
So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Out of the Shadows, whichever one that one was. I don't know if that was the second or the first one. That was $135 million budget. It opened at $35 million.
Wow!
But it did eventually worldwide did 245.
The first one is a 13.5 million.
I mean, that's still kind of. I wonder what that it does as far as inflation, but that seems kind of low for.
That's really low.
Compared to the current movie.
But also, I mean, it's got people in suits. The only thing that really cost them is like the actual mechanical mouthing.
Sets too.
Which I think there wasn't Henson that helped them out with that. They were doing so much stuff in the 80s.
All like the facial stuff. They had puppetry for each one of the turtles.
Was new
faces.
Technology they made. Yeah, which is weird because they had somebody that was controlling it,
and then an in-suit performer as well.
In-suit performer, and then they had somebody else doing the voices. Like Corey Feldman was a voice.
What year was that?
Yeah, Corey Feldman, Brian Tosh.
Yeah,
was Leonardo. Corey Feldman was Donatello, and then Raph was Josh Pice. And then Robbie Reist was Michelangelo. Kevin Clash was
Which
Splinter.
I remember seeing like a video of Robbie going off on the new Ninja Turtles a while back. It's like, oh, weird.
Yeah.
But I also I only saw a little bit, but I actually did not watch the whole thing. But like, it just pulled me out of it. I was not a fan of like, I don't know, the fact that Megan Fox was the lead too. I was just like, April, whatever. Like, I do. What was the other guy? What was the guy in it?
Casey Jones.
No. Was Casey Jones in the first one? In the new one? I think he was in the second one. It was the guy from Arrow.
Casey.
Yeah. It was the guy from Arrow, Stephen Amell. Which I might have actually watched that if I actually given it a shot because I love that dude. But who's the guy that was Vern?
Yeah. Let me see.
I don't know how accurate this is, but I'm just using some online calculator for inflation, saying that 13.5 million would have equated to 26.5 million now.
Wow, which is still really
kind of low.
Yeah.
Like,
which is weird to me because like, couldn't you just do that today, but with better like mechanics and better everything else? Like, why not just do the same thing?
Yeah, I don't know. I've never made like a film like that, so I don't know if there's like some producer thinks that like CG is the future or whatever, you know, like. But I don't know.
My kids love that movie still.
Yeah, no,
like,
I like
it's hilarious.
Like
I guess it was also Jim Henson.
Yeah.
So like, there's like a magic to it that like not every studio can do, but also just get the Henson Studios to do.
Exactly. Well, we got Muppets rolling again, so who knows, you know? But I guess Disney owns that, so they're not going to be helpful.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to something else here.
We won't talk about it a whole lot. I mean, maybe next week after Josh and his kids see Frozen 2. I will say, if you listen to last week's podcast, you know that I was like, oh, that's fine. If a group of friends want to go see it, I'll see it. I'm not in a rush. Group of friends want to go see it. It was way funnier than I expected. Like, and I like pretty much every song on there. Like, I don't know if there's like a new Let It Go, but it's a really great soundtrack.
Cool.
The song...
we talked about the song last time, and I'd heard a clip of it, and I was like, that sounds like it's an awful song.
Into the Unknown?
Yeah.
It was really good.
Weird.
I liked it a lot. And Panic at the Disco's version, still pretty good. Like, I feel like it would have taken me a couple of listens. If you didn't tell me it was from Frozen, it would have taken me a couple of listens to be like, oh, that's a Disney song. Because it just kind of fit. I see why they got him to do it. I know last week I was like, what kind of song could Idina Menzel and Panic at the Disco do? I know it makes sense now that I hear it. But there's another song by Idina Menzel on that soundtrack called Show Yourself that isn't as like pop or bombastic as like Let It Go or Into the Unknown. But to me, that was a showstopper. It was just like, oh, my breath was like taken away. I'm like, what a performance, you know, from Idina Menzel. And then Kristen Bell had a song called Next Right Thing. And I was just like so moved. But there's like, it was more of like a storytelling thing. I don't know. It's hard to explain. They're good songs, but not like, you know, pop songs or whatever. It was just like, wow. And then Olaf is exponentially funnier in this movie. Oh my God. Like, it was so funny. And then Christoph has his main song. I won't spoil it for you, but when you see Christoph break into his own main song, just like pay attention. In our theater, like any kid who was there that was like your kid's age was just like, why is this happening? We're like, shh, this is for mom and dad. Like, it was so funny. Like, I was almost pissed myself several times during the whole performance. It's not like dirty. It's just like something that I think you especially like will really like. The two of us were like, oh my God, they did it, you know. And it was great. But the whole movie was a lot more interesting than I thought it would be. And there is after credits. A lot of people miss the after credits, and it was super cute.
Oh, weird.
And it's like all the way at the end.
Oh, dang. So it's a Marvel.
Yeah.
Pulling a Marvel.
But we also saw Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
Yeah.
That was
I couldn't get Tom Hanks as Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, I got lost in it.
Really?
Like, I was like, man, he did a good job. But also, it was maybe 25% about Mr. Rogers. It was more about the guy writing the article about him.
Okay.
But it just kind of made me, like, reminded me, like, man, that man did shape my childhood.
Yeah.
Like, and how to, like, just be a better person.
You want to know what's funny? Mr. Rogers, or not Mr. Rogers, Tom Hanks' son, you know, I can't remember his name. He's in a bunch of different movies and TV shows and stuff, but he was on Drunk History, and he was Mr. Rogers on Drunk History.
Oh, that's so funny.
Just funny, because I don't know, he was as young Mr. Rogers, whatever. Yeah. It's like, oh, it makes sense.
That's so funny.
But like, I don't know, seeing Tom Hanks as him, like, and like watching him your entire life, I just couldn't get into him. Like, you could just see it. It just feels awkward to me. Like, it's just Tom Hanks trying really hard to talk like Mr. Rogers to me.
Other people said that, but like as soon as it started, maybe it was just the setting or whatever. Like, I got lost in it. I was like, I don't know. It was like
It took me a while.
Instead of the look of Mr. Rogers, like the spirit, like it replaced it long enough for me to watch the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, they obviously show some clips of the real Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, that was him. But for the purpose of the movie, I was like, man, like I was in it, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know. It was just,
There was points where I was kind of laughing, you know, at the performance because it was like he was trying to be Mr. Rogers, and I know it's Tom Hanks. So
I guess it was just me. Everybody else should skip the movie. Like, I love
the thing about Frozen too is like the way the music. Every time I talk about this, I talk about the same thing. The way the music was interweaved with the scenes, that's what made it so like magical.
Yeah.
And that song "Into the Unknown" is exactly what I'm talking about. Like when you hear this thing and then that thing becomes an element in the song as it goes on. It's just like when you say it, notice how wonderful it all interweaves with itself. And I think that's kind of what made it such a great song to me personally, is the execution.
It just like goes in and out really.
It's just fluid. It just feels really
almost.
good. Yeah. It felt amazing.
You'll be familiar to it because of the way musicals work.
Yeah.
Just taking like motifs back and forth.
Well, I didn't feel that way about Moana, which I liked Moana. I like the song. You haven't seen Moana?
No.
What?
We have a minor thing that maybe someday when our
I think we have it. You could borrow it.
well, I mean, as far as talking about it, we have a minor like NDA with that situation that I got to see when we'll be able to pull one of these, whatever Alan's name is about.
Or you could just like,
but
crap that happened to me.
it was one of our first Hollywood stories. We'll put it that way. I still want to see it because I like the "How Far You'll Go" song.
I mean, they're all great songs.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like they would like what you're talking about with Frozen 2, and we just recently watched at least 20 times Tangled.
Tangled is great.
Tangled, the songs work so well, and it's not just a song about the Disney princess. It's also about the guy that's, you know, the bad guy that turns into a good guy, you know, and then, you know, the mom who's actually a bad guy. So
what I was saying about the Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, like one of the things that was cool about the spirit of Mr. Rogers that they like really painted, that you realized at the time, I think, like when we were kids watching it, but then like just as an adult watching Tom Hanks's like portrayal, like things were chronologically not accurate. You know, they condensed things for the purpose of a movie.
yeah.
But I guess like the situations were accurate, like that happened. Because I watched a follow up to see like did these things really happen and all this stuff.
It's not going to turn out to be like a Queen.
It
Or
a little bit,
Rhapsody or
but
whatever.
it did a little bit, but they did open up the way not this is a spoiler, but the way they opened up the movie kind of very clearly made it so that like this is not a 100% like real thing. Because I mean, basically,
Nobody's going to watch this, Rajas.
I mean, so like
You're gonna fail.
Minor spoiler. The whole thing starts with a regular episode of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and it's about the movie. So it just kind of sets up like this is going to be roughly half the, you know, real life scenarios, but it's more of like the spirit of everything. But the thing it painted for me was like made me like realize that the secret, one of Mr. Rogers' biggest secrets to how everybody likes him, is that like he's like perpetually grateful for everything, and like coming down to
And
like
kind for everything.
yeah, well, but I think the kindness like stems from the gratitude of it, which is, I mean, I don't want to go into a whole tirade. People have heard me talk about this for last year, but like it's like reassuring to like hear that affirmation, because like there's scenes that like I was like, oh, is that for the movie? And then they talk to the guy who actually wrote the article, and he's like, he said that crap to me, you know, like like the guy would like criticize him about something, and then Mr. Rogers would like stop and think, because his wife did say like it's a process for him, like he has to.
Yeah, it doesn't
purposely
come
do it.
naturally.
So you
to
see him
him.
pause, and then he'll be like, "Thank you for telling me that. You know, thank you for like sharing your feelings. You're
How
right."
do I
But-
address this?
It was
Like-
just a constant study for him.
and he's just, but virtually everything, every response for him was trying to find a way to be grateful for whatever just happened, regardless of how anybody else would take it. And I think that's the thing that just made like, because he's a Presbyterian minister, you know,
Yeah.
like that was his ministry. Like, you know, there's the story his wife tells about like when he was on his deathbed, the last thing he said was I a sheep, you know, and anybody that grew up in church knows what that means. But like, I was like, I mean, to me, you know, I've had like kind of horror stories about like Christians in public kind of thing, but like Mr. Rogers is probably like one of the best human examples of like, that's what you should probably be, you know, because like how many times did he like throw a Bible around in Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, but he just like exemplified all of the values that were taught.
There's a meme that I've seen going around, and it's like a guy talking to like Jesus or whatever, and he's like, I have a plumbing business, and you think I should put a ichthus on the back of my car, which is ichthus is someone's not a Christian, it's a little fish.
The Jesus fish.
And Jesus is like, how about you just be a good person and do what you're supposed to do, and let's see if they can figure it out that way.
Yeah. Like if you got to wear a sign, then because it's the same thing I always say about people who boast about things they do, stuff like. Of course, be proud of things you do, and like we're musicians, so it's a fine line that we stumble on a lot. But like, if you're a line, you're a line. You don't have to announce it to the whole room,
Yeah.
So same thing, if you're of a belief, like I don't think, even if you didn't know the term like Christianity or religion or whatever, like you would know there was something very special about that man just through his life, So that now I never got a chance to watch the Won't You Be My Neighbor, the documentary last year. Which is funny.
I wanted to see that real bad.
We had like an opportunity, like a screening at YouTube, and we had to miss it for whatever reason. But now I want to see it even more because I think there's elements of that in this movie or whatever.
Crossover.
But I liked it. I think if you like Mr. Rogers, I mean, I guess, so when I saw the trailers, the look of Mr. Rogers for Tom Hanks wasn't a deal breaker for me. So I enjoyed it from front to end. I guess if it is a deal breaker, maybe it's not your cup of tea. But like,
I didn't say it was a deal breaker. I was just saying like I couldn't like you see him and you just always in the back of my mind I'm always thinking like, oh, that's just Tom Hanks. It's just Tom Hanks.
That'd be tough for me if I thought that throughout all these scenes because like if I can't, there's something about Mr. Rogers. It's kind of like Dolly Parton. Like you can't like replace that thing for me.
It's a good story though.
Tom Hanks being Mr. Rogers was the least of my worries about that movie. My main worry was that the lessons were there.
Mm-hmm.
And that before I started watching this, I didn't realize. I knew this, but I didn't. It made it very apparent after the movie that Mr. Rogers delved into a lot of dark issues on the show.
Yeah,
but because it was surrounded with like the puppets and love and the gratitude and everything,
he did it in a kind way too. Like when he washed his feet with the black mailman or whatever.
Crazy, man.
Back during was it the 60s?
He was a cop.
Was it a cop? I thought it was mailman.
The mailman.
I think you're right.
Speedy Delivery.
Yeah, that's it. Mr. McFeely. That's what it was. My dad used to always make fun of that.
That was the one.
Mr. McFeely.
That did take me out of it a little bit. The Mr. McFeely in this one.
Was he in too?
Whoever they got to play him did the best he could, but he ran on set, and I guess that you're just as a child you're like, so I wasn't ready for that just yet. So I was like, oh okay, Mr. McFeely. They didn't have the cop on there, but the African American fellow you're talking about, he was the police officer. I remember that being after the show ended, that ended up being like a big like props to Mr. Rogers, because even though he was like Presbyterian ordained minister, he was one of the first people to have like an inclusive like cast, and also that he was gay, like the black guy was gay, so it was like it wasn't outward in the show obviously because it was a kids show at the time, but like for ordained minister to like accept that into like his whole work and stuff was just, it was like really like at the time groundbreaking, But I guess it kind of comes down to like Mr. Rogers, like it's common sense to be nice to people.
Yeah.
Like
no matter who or where you're at.
Another little side note is they did, recognize or say something about him being like a Navy SEAL or Army or whatever. I'm not going to tell you how that was like resolved or anything because I want people to watch it. But they did like touch on that.
Oh, crazy. Mr. Rogers was a Navy SEAL?
So there's a lot of rumors that like both his arms are like full of tattoos, and that's why you never see him wear short sleeve shirts.
Oh, that's crazy.
And then there's another rumor that he was like a Navy SEAL or like an Army dude.
It's like a behind.
But that is true for Dolly Parton though. She's covered in tattoos.
That's true.
For scars though. Yeah. Like she says nothing even like extravagant. She just doesn't want people to see it.
Yeah.
Last little bit, I guess, or to the wrap on the "It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood," whatever.
Yeah.
Is there's not many movies that I can say that you watch and you leave wanting to be a better person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Cool. Okay, back a little bit for the Alan Richardson guy, the guy that was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles guy, and he's Hawk in the Titans show on DC. They had asked him to be back for this upcoming Crisis on Infinite Earth stuff, which is all those CW shows are crossing over, including Black Lightning now, and the new Batwoman girl show too. So they're all crossing over and whatnot, and he turned that down.
He's like, listen, I just did this Ninja Turtles things for like 3 years.
Yeah. And which is funny because they're getting so many people for these silly things. People that were in other old shows like Birds of Prey, which was like one season and it was awful. Like nobody liked it at all. And also on top of it, they're getting Smallville. They're both getting the Tom Welling, who was Superman in Smallville, and Erica Durance, who was also Lois Lane in Smallville.
Yeah.
So they're getting both of those back. They actually asked Michael Rosenbaum to come back, but from what he said on his podcast, he said the money was barely there. He's like, and then on top of it, they wouldn't let him know anything about what was going on.
I don't know.
It's going to span like 5 or 6 shows. You figure they have to have an idea.
I feel like I thought that about every DC thing that happened in the last 15 years, and it hasn't panned out.
The only I don't like all those CW shows. I like The Flash, and sometimes it's here or there. I love the first 2 seasons of Arrow. Other than that, I wasn't a big fan of any of the other CW shows. The only reason I watched Smallville was because there was nothing else on at the time that was superhero stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, and it was like teenage Superman, and then this sounds like fun.
So kind of relatable.
That
a little bit.
That was when we were in college, right?
Yeah, it came out in 2001.
I was in high school.
So I think for me that was like Josh and I went to the same college, but I had a different major than you, I think. But I just remember being like, I have like a very limited amount of time to like be entertained and stuff. And like Smallville was just not on my radar, but my brother watched it.
That's so weird because I have like this vivid memory of like you sitting on the couch with us, like watching Smallville.
It might have been like in a passing
maybe
thing,
just
like
once.
in the middle of the it's like
because we watched it with a lot of people and actually talked to a lot of people about it, like when we were in college. Like, Smallville.
I didn't know anything about it, so if it was like I caught it in the middle of whatever you guys like were watching at the time. Because I watched like the middle of the last season of Lost with somebody after never watching any of Lost, like, and so like anyway, like I recognize like certain people from it, but I couldn't tell you like any overarching storylines. I do remember this one episode when our former like schoolmate Augustana like was in Smallville, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, it happened!"
Oh yeah,
our friend T was like, "One day Lois Lane's gonna be looking longingly through a doorway, and then Boston's gonna start playing, and then that exact scene like happened." We're like, "Oh my god!"
They had so many because like Smallville and CW at the time, along with all the other shows on CW, they would actually promote like the band and the artist at the end of the beginning of the show.
Yeah,
like they actually show the new album. You could get this new album today, or whatever, and it was kind of like for me, I loved it because it would introduce you to like maybe indie rock when the internet might have, sucked at the time a little bit about finding new music. That was a good way to at least, promote some unknown bands. I know Snow Patrol was on there. The Fray was on there at the time.
They did that in other shows too.
All that kind of music though.
One Tree Hill.
That's what I'm saying. Like One Tree Hill, all those shows did it. So maybe not like Buffy or something, but
that might be too old. Right in that era though, Smallville, One Tree Hill, Dawson's Creek, like all that
2004, 5, 6.
That's what they would do. They would promote music though. I wish they would do that now.
I mean, I wish this whole thing the best, because I hope at one point someone over at WB figures out how to do DC better.
Yeah.
And stuff, but the one time I decided to delve in, I'm like, I'm going to give this a shot in that whole like Legends of Tomorrow thing.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Legends was awful, still is.
Ooh,
I'm glad that's ending.
I watched that whole first season. I was like, what on earth?
Yeah, that wasn't a good one to start you on.
Here's a picture because they have Kevin Conroy as Batman in the show because there's going to be Crisis on Infinite Earths is a giant crossover where they cross over all these different worlds. And the heroes are all slightly different in all the other worlds. And so they all come together. Blah, blah, blah.
Glasses.
This is Kevin Conroy, who's actually the voice of Batman from the animated series, which is kind of crazy to me. Like, okay, cool. And they're actually going to have Mark Hamill, I think, as the Joker.
That's awesome.
Which was funny because, like, in the series, he was actually the trickster for the Flash. So it's so weird. Like, all these people are like double crossing over. And you can see here's Brandon Routh reprising himself as Superman. You see a little bit of the
I feel
gray
bad
hair.
for him because I feel bad for him because I feel like he did a decent job as Superman at the time.
Yeah.
It was just like a weird time for all that reboot stuff,
And that and like the story was the same exact story as the first one.
So that Brandon Routh Superman is like what the Elizabeth Banks Charlie's Angel is going to be. It's just like, it's fine. There was like
I don't know that Superman movie everybody is pretty much doesn't like. That's the new Superman. There's the old one, and so I think there's a picture
of Batwoman.
Yeah, there's Tom Welling as Superman again. So it's kind of cool. I'm actually going to watch it.
When is this supposed to come out? I feel like I've been hearing about it for a year.
I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh shoot!
So
I didn't even know they started.
Oh, filming? Yeah. I think they got to be pretty much
okay.
done.
So they're doing like what they did with Mortal Kombat and just like releasing details as they're like going.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've been talking about it. I don't know how many podcasts of all these people that are crossing over for it. So I'm excited for it just because it's nice for me to see him reprise his role as Tom Welling to reprise his role as Superman because you never get to see him in the suit ever.
No, yeah.
So except for like the very end for like 2 seconds and that's it.
He's always Clark.
It's interesting.
So
he's never Superman.
Let's get on to some other news. We only got a few things left. Favreau
Yeah.
And Dave Filoni may play larger roles in the Star Wars future, which I am 100% for. He seems to understand,
Have you seen the third episode of The Mandalorian?
I have.
Cool. Like
Dave's the shit.
man, it just keeps getting better, man. Like,
It's slow. Like I said last time, it's slow moving, but it's just great the entire time. So,
Do you guys know Dave Filoni at all?
no.
So he's a killer composer, engineer. And during the show on Netflix, the Chef Show with Jon Favreau and Roy Choi, they go to the Star Wars farm. It's a farm.
Oh, crazy.
And on the farm, they grow all the food that you would need, even like the cattle and like they obviously they don't grow the cattle, but you know what I'm saying. Everything is like farm to table right there on this lot, and the I don't know how many acres the whole joint is, whatever, but that's where the sound design places are and everything. And
crazy.
That's where
Dave
works.
Skywalker
Ranch.
Ranch.
That's what it is, yeah. And that episode where John and Roy go and meet Dave at Skywalker Ranch and they eat with the head chef of the place of the Skywalker Ranch, they give you little hints of like what Dave was working on at the time. And it's so funny to see this article with both of them saying that there's going to be like they're going to both have a larger role in this whole thing.
Yeah.
Because they literally are the thing.
Yeah. I mean, at least that's what's going really well for the thing
It's
now.
crazy too. I mean, I know how big Star Wars is as far as movies, but my favorite was the cartoon. The movies and the series, the cartoons with like Windu and, it almost looked like a Samurai Jack looking animation.
When were those?
You don't
I think
remember
I
any of
missed
that?
those,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh, they're so good. Like all the Star Wars animated stuff.
was it the third episode where he got his rewards from the container thing from the buyer?
yeah.
So I thought it was a kind of a cool thing where like they said that was like was it the prequels that thing was in? That container was something someone in the background was carrying in one of the previous Star Wars movies.
Oh, okay.
Like
And they
someone
just
in the
made
background like ran, but it's an ice cream maker that's like spray painted.
Oh, nice.
So this one, like, but he's just like running in the background with it. So this one they actually expand upon like how it opens up and everything. So
Yeah.
it was like a nice like small callback. I heard rumors that Jon Favreau was the voice of the Mandalorian's critic. That was like, how can you accept the Empire thing?
That's when he was speaking. It sounded like he was.
I read that in a couple places, but I haven't seen any like, yes, that's me or anything. So I wonder. I don't know.
It's 2003 Clone Wars.
Oh, okay. The Clone Wars cartoon.
That was the best stuff. Like
I like the
Star
Clone Wars. Like it wasn't. I guess it's a cartoon, but it's like the animated one, like the computer animated one. That made me not hate the prequels.
Yeah.
Like that show, because it was, you can watch them and you can actually, there's some crazy, succession of how you watch them because they cover between all the prequels, like when there's to kind of take place. And especially it's after the first one, obviously, but they show, Anakin slowly becoming darker as opposed to like,
Just happens.
yeah, Padme is going to die. Oh, guess what? I'm evil and kill children. And like, nobody makes those decisions. Like, not like that, but like, so it was nice to see that over time. Plus, like, it was just a great show. I mean, if you've never seen it, they're actually restarting it back up again. Like that show.
Is it on Disney Plus?
It's supposed to be.
What year was that? That was like 2010 or something like that?
I think it's because I think it was 4 or 5 seasons. So it was probably 4 to 9, maybe something like that.
The animated series was 2003 to 2005.
Okay.
And then after that was, I think, what you're talking about.
It's very similar to what you were showing me there. I never saw the cartoons like that. Cartoons.
Dude, Disney Plus has been so amazing lately. So I know I think you mentioned like the Silver Surfer cartoon series. Like people didn't really like it that much. So I started watching it. I'm almost done. I love it so much.
Oh, yeah?
It looks exactly like the X-Men series. It's like the same team.
It's the same team.
And the voice actors are crossed over. So it's weird because I think Drax is voiced by whoever voiced Cyclops.
Yeah.
And like all these other things. So it's weird. And then Drax is like a cyborg in this.
Yeah.
And then Gamora's there, but they call her Gamora. And like, so here's the thing. I'm not saying that everybody's going to love it because it is ultra dramatic.
Yeah.
But if you watch the first episode and you're like, I don't know if I can handle this, or like maybe it'll grow on me. It doesn't get less than that. So if the first episode you're like, not my cup of tea, probably right.
Yeah.
But I watched it. I'm like, man, the Silver Surfer and like Galactus and stuff are so like Victorian, like dramatic. Like, why must the thing? Like, you know, I was like, this is so funny, and like conflicts that start up that should take entire episodes to resolve. They bring up like the last 4 minutes and then they resolve way too easily. But I was telling Vince last night, like I feel like it's the plots that I had my action figures do, you know, where all the exposition was within the dialogues with my brother, my friend, who I was playing toys with, would get the rules without us having to stop to tell the rules. It's like, why must I be stranded here on this planet in the other nebula city? You know, like,
oh, it's because of this. Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah. But it's really funny. I'm like 3 episodes away from finishing because it's only ran for 1 season.
Yeah.
But man, like I kind of like it because it's like, oh, this is like a little extension of X-Men that I never really got.
But did Eric Lewald do that one? Because I know he did the one after that one, the Avengers United They Stand.
I don't know, have to look it up.
A little side note: I actually accidentally said that Dave was a composer, but he's a producer, a film director, voice actor, he's television writer. He does everything.
Okay.
I just wanted to fix that.
But I know that, I know the Lewald does the Avengers They Stand one, and you know, like, I don't want to be mean to the dude. That show is straight up awful. Like, I watched it with Penny the other day. Oh my gosh. Like, I remember it being awful in the 90s, being like, this is terrible. But oh my gosh, watching it, it's funny because for every time that they need to fight, they have like this like Power Rangers scene where like flashing, anime background while they're putting on the armor that they already have on. And not to mention like Hawkeye has like a belt that has the Avengers symbol, and then like when the armor comes on, a bigger belt with the Avengers symbol goes over the top of it, and you're like, oh my gosh, dude, come on.
Hey, did you bring your belt buckle for your belt buckle?
Exactly. And so like what you had said, like the people that voiced the X-Men show, had a lot of them had voiced this show too, and you got the girl that did Rogue, obviously doing Tigra, and sounding exactly like Rogue and acting exactly like Rogue, and Ultron sounds like he's some bad guy from the 60s, like
Skeletor.
It doesn't look like Eric Lewald did this one. He did do a Street Fighter animated series, which I'm going to have to look up now. And Gargoyles. And
I love Gargoyles.
Mummies Alive. Wow, I didn't know all this stuff.
You were talking about Mummies Alive a while ago.
Yeah. Holy crap. And then Young Hercules. Very cool. Oh, yeah. Avengers United, They Stand.
It is. I mean.
So I guess his credit, he's not a writer. So he's credited as
he's a showrunner, right?
It's his story editor in the credits. But that's cool, though. But yeah, I don't know. A little like Disney Plus tidbit. If you like the X-Men series and you watch the first episode of Silver Surfer and you're like, oh, this might be my cup of tea, then you're probably right. But if you're like, this is a little, maybe it'll grow on me, it probably won't. So maybe just
it's a little different. I didn't mind it.
Yeah.
I was a little sad that it was only one. I remember watching it when it came out. A little sad that it was only 1 season.
Yeah.
And the same thing with this Avengers show. It was only 1 season.
Gotcha.
So.
I kind of see. I don't know. It's so funny because there's like a lot of 90s stuff in it. Like, I don't know.
Well, it's sad because they had that Spider-Man show, which is great.
Oh, yeah.
And then they ended it without like you finding out what happened like at the last episode. And you're like, wait a minute, what?
Madam Web.
Exactly. Like, we're going to go find Mary Jane. And then like, they don't.
Yeah.
So they don't even put a button on it or anything. So, and then they had a new Spider-Man show called Spider-Man Unlimited. And you're oh, maybe this is going to take off from there. And it's awful.
Yeah.
Different thing.
Don't watch it. It is straight up stupid. They're like, hey, guess what? Venom and Carnage are on a different planet with...
what was actually better was the Spider-Man and Nova. What was that one?
Oh, you're talking about the Ultimate Spider-Man.
That was all right.
It wasn't as like a team on S.H.I.E.L.D. I was never a fan of Spider-Man being on necessarily a team.
That was another thing. Nova's in this Silver Surfer series.
Oh, is he?
That's cool.
But it's not Sam Alexander.
No, it's a woman.
Oh, okay.
Female Nova.
She's the second Herald of Galactus. I didn't recognize her until I saw her, but she's like a Venice Beach 90s chick. Like that's her whole thing, which is like so funny because it's a very 90s thing to do.
Okay, we're talking about like a girl that looks like fire, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. That's not like a Nova. We're like Nova Core.
No,
her name is Nova.
Okay.
Her name is just
like Nova Core, as in like Nova, Richard Rider or Sam Alexander.
Right.
Yeah, no, not the same.
Not the same.
I was like, wait a minute, Nova was in that? I don't remember that.
Different Novas.
But
one is a corp.
It was weird. Oh, and then Thanos is in this.
Yeah.
He's so funny. I don't think he's supposed to be.
Yeah, he's goofy.
He's like Skeletor.
Yep.
And
And he's talking about death all the time, right?
Chaos, they call her. I guess maybe they're not allowed to say death. I don't know.
Maybe not.
She's just like, Lady Chaos, why? But he's talking to a statue.
Yeah.
And stuff. And it's like, this is so funny. It's such a far cry from like the Thanos we know now in the MCU.
Well, it's funny because like I was a little upset that they didn't make the reasoning for Thanos wanting to, kill half the universe being like his love for death.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it worked out. So
Yeah.
You know what we'll say in Silver Surfer, the CG animation? I think it's actually really good for the time. Like they made it look like comic book drawings, but like 3-dimensional, like Galactus. Looks epic.
they mixed them in, and I think that show did do a good job about mixing them in. They tried to do that a little bit with the Spider-Man show. So like every once in a while when he'd be swinging down like the streets, like something would be coming at him and that would be CG, and that would give you, I remember as a kid, they'd give you like a weird feeling like, oh, that's odd. That looks kind of like, like it's actually coming at me a little bit. So when you get older, you kind of see like, oh, well, that's kind of odd. just because it's CG on top of,
Yeah, but see, this one, like when they did the CG, they gave it like the edges of like the black outlines of comic book drawings, and somehow that just made everything different.
It did pop a bit better.
Like now when you see like Galactus move and stuff, he looks like a comic book drawing, like lifting out of the page, like, and
helps make him bigger than life, like he is.
Yeah. It's, I don't know, it's a ridiculous show. Like Vince overheard me watching one episode, and he's like, Silver Surfer has to go inside Galactus. He's like, oh, my white blood cells are attacking you. I'm like, I love this. I love it. Like, I only like my drama in these little 20-minute episodes. I don't want it in my life. I don't want it like around me, but I want it in like these little like Shakespearean Marvel shows, you know?
Which is pretty much what it was.
Yep.
So,
let's see. We got a little bit more on Star Wars. Like Kathleen Kennedy, she's like one of the main people that's in charge of the Star Wars stuff, and a lot of people have like mean, angry stuff against the woman. And so like I tried not to do that at all. But this week she said something so insanely stupid on my. She had said, let me find the exact quote here, because they were talking about JJ in the last movie here and what going forward about the storyline. Every one of these movies is particularly hard nut to crack. There's no source material. We don't have comic books. We don't have 800-page novels. We don't have anything other than passionate storytellers to get together and talk about what's next iteration may be. We go through a really normal development process that everybody else does. And that's absolutely bull crap.
That's bollocks.
Not only is it bull crap because like they did take a lot of the extended universe and turn that into Star Wars Legends, but there's still a ton of stuff after that is canon that you can go upon.
I would love to see if there's like a way to follow up interview that, you know?
Yeah.
And just be like, do you mean that you don't know what to take because everybody's arguing about what's canon or not? Or do you truly believe there's like nothing like beyond, you know?
Yeah.
Like, cause I can see it going either way. Some like old white lady, you know, like.
I mean a lot of people hate on her hardcore for something similar to this. And I kind of like back off forever for it. I'm like, she's just being a producer. She's just doing what she's doing.
Man, you know, if I was ever a film producer, you don't want to, if they're like, you want Star Wars? Like, no, I'm fine.
But like that gets back to like the crap with Singer and the X-Men movies where he's like, I don't want a comic book on my film. We're like, I don't want to have to deal with this. We're writing new stories. We're doing something different. And they just have the idea of whatnot going on in the movie, but it's not actually the yellow spandex that we talk about.
Yeah.
And so like this woman this week pissed me off.
It's funny because this photo that's in here is from the book. I think they did that on purpose.
That's I'm sure. And I used was it Superhero Hype, which is one of my favorite sites there. It's also I think coming soon. .net I think is the name of the place too that it's from. But yeah, there's so many great stories that you could pull from that you can adapt, even if it wasn't exactly the same. You know, so it's just to me it drives me nuts that they continue to do that. Mandalorian's great because it's pulling from at least the lore. The idea of the Mandalorians.
Well, there's a whole. You could watch a documentary on the Mandalorians.
I heard rumors that Baby Yoda is animatronic.
Oh, that'd be crazy.
He looks CG, but if he's animatronic, like kudos to them, man.
Yeah.
Like, because like I mean, obviously he's like the centerpiece of the show now. He's like the show stealer, you know. So it's like they had to do that right, or is it going to be another Jar Jar moment? You know?
That's absolutely true. They pulled it off. It looked cute.
Yeah.
And even if it is CG, I mean, to me, it looked a little bit CG, but
yeah, that's
you
why
can tell it could be partially something too.
Maybe
he actually picks it up and it feels like the cloth moves when he picks him up. So I don't know.
It's just like cute moments, like when he takes the ball off the handle and stuff. I'm like, oh, He just won my heart.
Did you see the meme I posted?
He has like games on your phone you have or something like that. Or
Oh, no, not that one. There's one where, you know how at the end of the last episode, he's pulling away and the guys have the rocket packs. And he's like, I got to get me one of those.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Like
but it's the Tesla.
It's the Tesla truck.
Yeah, the Cybertruck.
It's just
Man, you know what's interesting is like the polarization of the internet over those trucks.
yeah.
I don't know if I didn't look it up to see if it's actually Elon's like tweet response or whatever. But before he said anything, I was like, I'll just bet. Maybe I said on the podcast, I can't remember. I'll bet that he was just like, let's make it look crazy so that people talk about it because you can't buy that kind of promotion.
See, that's why I thought he was trolling. I thought he'd be like, oh, we're joking. This is the new truck, like the next day.
Yeah, but I mean, part of me has to believe as an engineer that actually is some sort of optimal like physics, thing or something. But like, also like if we do crazy, call it Cybertruck, do all this stuff, then people will talk about it. And then someone tweeted, he responded to somebody's tweet saying something like, "Yeah, I did it for the memes," and I was like, "Smart, whether you're joking or not, go for it."
I saw a article. It was like obviously one of the fake articles, and it was like Elon Musk's develops new school bus, and it looked like that
thing for the Mandalorian,
the Sandcrawler.
Yeah, the Jawas thing. Yeah, I saw that too. That was funny because, like, I don't know, but also I guess like it also had a really high pre-sales because supposedly, it's only $40,000.
Yeah,
for like a electric truck. That's insane.
Yeah,
but also the down payment's only $100.
Yeah,
like I already know of a bunch of people I follow on Instagram already bought theirs.
Well, I think that I think
you can only pre-order right now.
The pre-order is $40,000, but I think that's just the entry level because I could have like
it's base
a certain Ford engine. I think there's a
still, even like how much farther up can you get? 100?
It could go. There's three. It will be 3 models. One of them, I think, it starts at 40.
I think it's how big the engine is, or how much it can maybe pull, or whatever.
Well, there's no engine.
Yeah, it's the battery. It's the battery load, right?
There's a 40,000 one, and then the next one up, I think, is 70, and then there's one more from that I actually.
It's gotta have an engine still. I mean, whether it runs on battery or gas.
It has motors.
Okay, sorry, the motor.
And they're in the wheels, man.
That's
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Yeah, the entire thing's like an empty shell. Like
it's just a huge battery.
I'm not gonna lie. I think it looks cool, but I know that my family back home, my Indiana family was like, "Look at that truck. That's ugly."
If I got one, I would either get a Y, an X, or the Cybertruck.
I have a friend that will go on name because I don't want to like put them on blast, but they had like very publicly stated that they think that anybody that wants to buy the car is selfish and only wants clout or whatever.
What?
But also it's like they don't drive, so I was like, sure, whatever, like you have your opinions about it. Not to say that people aren't doing it for those reasons, but like it's not like it's the first vehicle Tesla's put out. It's like they have a track record of like good vehicles. So
and they look like super sleek and like they look nice. They're not like square. Like this thing is like super jagged edges. That's why I thought he was trolling for a while.
There's also the fact that in the presentation they show you a video of the Cybertruck next to a 911 Turbo, and the Cybertruck wins off the line. Now,
how far is it though?
Down the road, it's not going to win.
Like my brother has like a Corvette, I think it is, and then he's like, yeah, the Teslas will beat me for like so many yards or whatever. He's like, but as soon as it gets past this, I just take off.
Yeah, you got gears in a ratio that any electric motor won't have, unless you have which isn't even out yet, the Roadster. The Roadster can beat you both off the line and in top speed.
No, crazy.
Because he won't. I think he's like legally not even allowed to tell you how fast it can go. But what they post was 250 plus.
Jeez. And I would kill myself. No, thank you.
I don't even know where you could go that fast other than like an airport or a salt flat. Or an actual, even racetracks don't have that long of a straightaway.
We've been in a Tesla that's gone like 135 for several minutes. And it does feel like, it's been a long time since I've been motion sick in a car. And whenever we ride with his friend and I know he's going to go that fast, I have Dramamine in my book bag with me now because of that specific purpose. Because I don't think my body is just not acclimated going that fast, like straight,
It's scary. Like when my brother takes off and oh my gosh. And I can't imagine the Tesla because it'll, like you said, it'll grab faster. Yeah. But like even... Gosh, pinning you to that seat is sick.
Well, it doesn't scare me. It's just like I'm like, this is an unnatural feeling. Like because it does happen. Like, does your brother have a Tesla?
He has a Vet.
Okay, so
it's Boba Fett,
a Corvette.
So this Tesla when it hits, there's no there's virtually no like response time. Like it's just like I don't even know. It's like a switch. It's not what it feels like. It's like
there's no lag.
The motor's no lag. It just goes.
It just takes your breath away.
Yeah.
So it's like it's over before you know it. If you just like the first time we were in the car with him, he was in the parking lot or parking garage. So it was only like maybe 100-foot stretch, and the 100 feet was like, what happened? Like
yeah. It goes to 0 to 60 in what, like 2 seconds, 2 point.
Probably less.
Which one?
I feel like
the
I don't know.
Tesla 3 performance. Something crazy. I drove a V12. No, this isn't a V6. This isn't a V8. This is a V12 Mercedes. And when you floor on the gas of a V12, you get the same exact feeling you get when you floor a Model 3 Performance. And that is your entire body sinks into the seat.
You literally grab your pants.
And you can't breathe for a couple of seconds. It takes the breath away from you.
Literally collapse.
Also, and I know Vince has like more explanation for why this is with like the axle system and everything for the Teslas, but the back seat that I ride in with this friend's Tesla van, like you can feel it in your spine. Like, and I think even at the best circumstance, you'll still feel that just because of the mechanics, like it going so fast and it's like super straight. Like, because I know it's not always like self-driven, but it's always computer guided.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot like straighter of a ride than if it was like a human was just like always steering it. And so it's like I can't even describe. I feel it in my teeth, like whenever we hit like a pebble, like like it's Princess and the Pea in a car, and I'm like, okay, so next time like maybe like a padded room in the back seat. Like
3.2 3.2 seconds for the Model 3 Performance.
Sheesh.
It's insane though. And also the same friend like races the Tesla, and so those Tesla races probably what, like 24 cars at least.
Teslas. Yeah, there's a ton of them.
All racing. It is the quietest, fastest race. Like you hear nothing.
It's gotta be like what, a quarter mile or something?
No, what?
The Tesla races.
It's a 2-minute lap.
Okay.
Yeah, so the race goes like
a
couple miles though, right?
Well, yeah, I don't know how long the track is, the specific track, but it's a 2-minute lap.
It's a big track. It's in the middle of the desert.
It takes like the best driver 2 minutes to get around it.
But even then, it's like it's so quiet, which is funny because it's a regular racetrack. So there's that one lap is done by the Teslas, but every other lap during that day is regular cars.
Yeah.
So it's like, you hear all this stuff and all of a sudden it's silent.
Yeah.
It sounds like they just stopped, but you look out and you're like, because they're all aerodynamic too. So they're not even making wind noise. Like it's like, it's like all you hear.
That's creepy to me, man.
The Roadster is 1.9 seconds, 0 to 60.
And then inside of the Tesla, it's like, there's not even the audible like cue to be like, oh, we're going faster. You're just internal organs are just like feeling the speed, like,
slowly turning to jello.
So anyway,
yep.
Tesla talk.
I'm
Do you want to end on this Trank thing?
Trank thing.
Josh Trank, who did the Fantastic Four movie that tanked. Trank tanked.
Trank tank.
He had. If you don't remember, back in 2015. Back in 2015, Josh Trank rebooted the Fantastic Four movie, but he did it in like this really cool, weird way. Fan Four stick, as he actually called it too.
Oh, really?
Later. He said he was gonna watch the film. He hasn't watched it since a week before it came out. And if you were remembering when it came out, he I don't know if it was drunk tweeting or what he was doing on the night before it showed out, but he was like, basically, they didn't let me do the movie I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And this movie is terrible. And he sent it out and it tanked that weekend. I don't think it tanked because he sent the tweet, but I'm sure that didn't help.
But then he watched the movie and he's like, oh, this was better than what I was going to do.
So he told his fans, or I guess his fans base or whatever, that he was going to watch it and review the film on his Letterboxd account. And he actually did that. He rated the film 2 stars out of 5. And he said, the movie is all right. I was expecting it to be much worse than it was. I literally haven't seen it since like 2 weeks before it came out. And I was heavily effing traumatized state of mind. Why? Save that for another time. Which I would love to hear, because I remember because his whole tirade was like they wouldn't let me do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Not that I think that he had a great idea for the Fantastic Four, which I feel is the only thing that you can do with the Fantastic Four is like the Incredibles. Like you can't update the Fantastic Four. It just doesn't work.
I will say, since watching the Silver Surfer cartoon show, I went back and watched like scenes from Rise of the Silver Surfer, and those parts are it's not all perfect, but they're a lot better than I remember them.
Oh, you're talking about like the
second one.
Yeah,
The Rise of the Silver Surfer, like the scenes with Silver Surfer, like going in and killing Galactus and everything. Those are pretty epic scenes, especially for like 2000s or something.
Yeah,
like I was like, okay, that was better than I remember. Still not perfect. I think the thing I liked the least about it was the casting. Not that Jessica Alba's like great.
Yeah,
but I just don't buy her as Invisible Woman. Stuff like that. Like
yeah, well, she was one of those powerhouses at the time.
Yeah.
Where she was like, oh, Jessica Alba.
So, but other than that, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. That Fan Four Stick though, I remember being angry leaving the theater.
Yeah.
Just like, what was that?
It's such a. I never saw it, and I remember you guys. We talked about it once. I think it was before podcast, and obviously before podcast because we only started in January. But it's From whatever you told me, like I knew going into it, it was just going to piss me off.
There were scenes that just like even this is before we even knew anything about film. Like they're like she would start crossing, like walk into a room, have like real blonde hair, and then when they cut to the shot inside the room and her walking through the door, she'd clearly have a wig on.
Yeah.
Or like have different colored hair. And I'm like, I didn't even try
definitely
to match,
due to the reshoots they had talked about.
I didn't even try to match this stuff,
Yeah.
And then Dr. Doom was like way too minimalized. Like, and I don't know what was going on with his face design. Like just metal mask.
They said they try to make it a little bit more like the Ultimate version, Fantastic Four, which
he like fused.
Yeah, so I'm not a big fan of, but it's just weird to me, like why he would go about doing it the way he did.
There's just not enough source material.
Where's the source material?
The kids were just kids, and then Dr. Doom was just one of the kids. It was just like a weird like teen. It was like a Power Rangers version.
Yeah,
of everything.
You made him too young. It gets weird.
Yeah,
kind of. And then I don't know. There was like a lot of questions when I left, and then I was like, and I still didn't buy this story. Like it was interesting. I don't know. At least the first two Fantastic Four movies, the ones with Jessica Alba, were like at least they were shiny. Sure.
Yeah, I mean Chris Evans was Mike Chiklis was. I didn't mind him as the Thing, especially. I don't know, like I remember he changed back away from the Thing in the second movie, and you're like, and he's like, oh, I want to go back to be the Thing again. It's like he would never do that. That's not his character. Like he'd be like, sweet, I got rid of it. I'm good. I don't want to be this anymore.
Yeah.
But it's all right. Those two movies were okay, but the Fan Four Stick, it looked so awful. Everything coming out, and everybody that has seen it confirms I don't need to see it. So it's just funny that he go back. This is his second movie ever. They did this, and I feel like Marvel does a good job of like finding the young dudes at like Sundance or whatever, and saying, hey, come along with us, and we'll give you the ability, but we're gonna still hold on to the reins a little bit.
That kind of reminds me, going back to Charlie's Angels. I remember you mentioning how the 2000s Charlie's Angels were like this perfect amalgamation of things. When I watched the recaps, I was like, holy cow. We all forgot those movies were directed by Mick G, who had only done music videos. Before then, and so everybody was like, "These movies are clearly going to tank because it's just a music video director."
His name, and Mick G.
Somehow they didn't, but this one, like established director, not doing numbers. Like so weird.
I think it's a little bit similar to the new one too, though, because a lot of these people they were younger, they did have a little bit of acting cred, but they definitely weren't powerhouses.
What was one last thing about Charlie's Angels, because we already talked too much about it, but like Black Nerd, you should just go watch his review. It's a good encapsulation. He did mention he was like a lot of shots like lacked the stylization that the first one had, the first remake had, and maybe that was due to the Mick G's music video. Like every scene's got to make it look like a music video.
Over the top, everything.
So this one, it was just like everything was sexy and cool and stuff, but I can't say there were many moments that you could like still frame and be like, this is the movie,
Yeah.
So, I get it. But anyway, it just reminded me like, oh yeah, Mick G directed those movies.
He needs to direct some more stuff. Is he still around? Is he alive?
Probably.
What's he doing?
More Britney's.
Making Mick sandwiches.
Let's take a look.
Maybe.
I wonder what he's done.
A little note to the single motor Cybertruck is the one that's 40, but then there's a dual motor that's 50.
Try.
And then a tri motor that's 70.
There you go.
That was the tiers.
But I could buy like 2 cars for that tri motor.
Oh, Mick G did Rim of the World.
Oh, weird.
I haven't watched it yet, but I've heard mediocre things about it.
Also, this tri-motor all-wheel Cybertruck goes 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds. That's ridiculous.
Mick G also did the Lethal Weapon TV series.
Huh.
And
I've heard good things about it. I never watched it.
A show called Kevin from Work.
Kevin from Work.
Terminator Salvation.
Oh.
And Chuck.
What? The TV show? They probably only had like directed an episode or something.
Yeah. And then Full Throttle, Charlie's Angels, Cypress Hills music video.
Oh man, that's back in the day.
Supernatural. Oh, I Feel Pretty. Interesting. Okay, yeah.
Well, guys, thanks for sticking around.
Yeah.
A long tirade this week.
Happy Thanksgiving, Gail. Was it Thanksgiving is tomorrow by the time they listen to this?
Probably.
Cool.
Releases on Wednesdays, peoples.
Yeah.
Please hit subscribe no matter what you use. A lot of people use the Podbean app. Other people use the Stitcher or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts, or you can basically find it anywhere. Just search for Yellow Spandex.
Yellow Spandex.
And if you celebrate Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving. And eat a lot of whatever you eat. I want to say turkey, but there's like 15 different dietary things right now. Just have fun.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time.